right, everybody, the 2021 NFL Draft in the books for your Cleveland Browns. Nathan Zagura here on a very special edition of the Browns Live Draft Shows presented by Graham and Fist Wine in a Can. Oh boy, never in a million years did the Browns imagine they would have the draft that they did here, and we are going to break the entire thing down, go through all 8 picks that the Cleveland Browns made for you here today on this show. And joining us in a few minutes will be Paul DePodesta, the Browns Chief Strategy Officer. He's going to be here live. Get your questions in using the hashtag BrownsLive, and we will get to some of those throughout the program as well, because look, this is what it's about. You have a complete roster going into the draft. We said the Browns, they don't really have any needs. We told you going in, keep an eye on quarterback. We think that is something that the Browns will certainly look to address. We saw that on night 1. But the last time we talked on after night 1, around 3 o'clock, leading into night number 2, rounds 2 and 3 of the draft, none of us imagined the Browns would say, Greg Newsome, hey, let's have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah join you. And I'll tell you what, nobody in this organization thought that that was possible either. We will tell you that story and go through the picks. And here it is, 8 new members of the Cleveland Browns. It all started on Thursday night. Cornerback Greg Newsome out of Northwestern. He was the Browns' target. They wanted to get him, and they did. And then you come back in round 2. The Browns trade up. They get aggressive to get the guy they wanted, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the linebacker out of Notre Dame. He can do it all. He can play some linebacker. He can play some nickel cornerback in the slot. He can play safety. He can blitz off the edge. This is an unbelievable chess piece for Joe Woods. Heck, they were so excited, they went right to the whiteboard to start drawing up ways to use JOK. And then to close out day number 2, the Browns got Anthony Schwartz, the fastest wide receiver in the draft. Schwartz ran a 4.25 at Auburn, a former track star. He was the Gatorade Track Athlete of the Year. He's won gold medals in international competitions representing the United States. It was that speed receiver. Remember, we told you to look out for that as well, that rounded out day number 2 for the Browns. You say, well, why didn't the Browns have 3 picks there on day number 2? Well, they traded pick number 89 to Carolina to move up to go get Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah at pick number 52. They went from 59 to 52 to get their guy. And then we turned the page to today. The Browns started off the day with those 3 fourth-round picks. They would end up moving one of those out of the 4th round to pick up another 5th-round pick, as well as an additional 4th-round pick in 2022. And then doing us all a favor, they traded right on out of the 7th round. So today's picks, James Hudson, the tackle out of Cincinnati. That is going to go ahead and remind all of you about Jason Gibbs. Gibbe's mock draft, when he dialed up Hudson, he said it was those movement skills that got me. The converted defensive tackle from Michigan transfers to Cincinnati. First team all AAC. And James Hudson, now a Cleveland Brown in the 4th round. They stayed in state for Tommy Togiai, the defensive tackle out of Ohio State. And then in round 5, Tony Fields, the linebacker from West Virginia. A tackling machine, started his first 3 years at Arizona, comes to the Browns after being at West Virginia, where he led the team in tackles a year ago. Richard LeCount III, the safety from Georgia, in the 5th round. And then they wrapped it up with Demetric Felton, the running back out of UCLA, who's very dangerous in space. Running back, receiver, he can do it all. Also some return stuff as well. But let me tell you, from one of the guys who was in the room making these decisions, that's who's joining us next on Browns Live, Chief Strategy Officer Paul DePodesta, live on the Browns Live Draft Special presented by Graham and Fist Wine in a Can.
I'm Graham.
And I'm Fist.
And we're the founders of Man Can Wine.
And Graham and Fist, wine in a can.
100% California award-winning wine in a proven package. And announcing our Rookie of the Year, 8.4 ounces of award-winning California wine.
We've got red, we've got white, we've got rosé with bubbles, and we've got white with bubbles.
All with Wine Enthusiast Magazine Best Buy Awards.
Shipped right to your door.
Visit footballwine.com.
Order now.
Welcome to Cleveland, home of the 2021 draft.
With the first pick, the Cleveland Browns select. He's got it! Touchdown! And here comes Chubb. He's going! He's going! He's gone! Nick Chubb is in! Touchdown!
Welcome to the land. Let's rock the clock.
At university hospitals, our sports medicine experts bring science and compassion together to develop personalized care plans for athletes at every level, from Pee-wee to pro. The same experts who care for the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Monsters, and the Cleveland Ballet keep our local athletes performing at their best. Schedule an appointment at uhsports.org. University Hospitals, the science of health, the art of compassion.
The door to a car you've been saving for. The door to a personal loan that feels genuinely personal. The door to a bedroom for each of your teenagers. The door to a new employee who's also your neighbor. And the door to a happy and full life for you and everyone you know. This year, KeyBank has already opened over 170,000 doors, helping people get from where they were to where they wanted to be. KeyBank opens doors.
Arby's, 2 for $6. Every day, Greek gyros and a spicy one. Opa! 2 of those things for just $6. Arby's, we have the meats.
Welcome back into the Browns Live Draft Special presented by Graham and Fiss Wine in a Can. Nathan Zagura with you. But now we bring in a Big L luminary, the Chief Strategy Officer of your Cleveland Browns, Paul DePodesta, joining us. And Paul, first off, congratulations. I'm sure this has been a long process. You think about the lead up, and then it's over in a flash. But it doesn't probably feel like a flash. 3 days grinding it out here. 8 new players on the Cleveland Browns, just top level. What did you guys think of this, how the board fell, and what you were able to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, super excited overall. Like you said, it's a 3-day grind, but really it's about a 10-month grind for a lot of people, and certainly the last 3 months in particular, just trying to get the board together. And I'll be honest, I think the board fell about as well as it could have for us. I mean, you never get every player you want. There's some other players we would have loved to have had a crack at, but from round 1 through round 6 with 8 picks, it went about as well as we could have hoped.
Well, let's start with round 1. Greg Newsome, the cornerback out of Northwestern. You guys wanted to get some more depth there, get some more talent in that cornerback room, and somebody you targeted early in this process, as you had noted. When you saw that he was there, you jumped on it. What does he bring to this defense, and how happy were you to start the first round that way?
Yeah, really excited to get Greg. Long, fast, and smart. Pretty good combination at corner. And it's something we had talked about a lot in terms of our secondary. I mean, our defense in general, we want to be able to rush and cover. We have a lot of those elements already, but we think Greg brings a lot more to the table, especially because he's almost scheme agnostic. He can play anything. He's long enough to play press. He's got enough awareness to play in zone. He's got the ball skills to play off man. So that there's just a lot he can do, and we can play just about everything with him out there.
So while you were looking at the board in the first round, thinking about people that might fall, a number of names I'm sure were there. Greg Newsome clearly at the top of the list at 26, but Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah was also somebody you guys were talking about potentially being in play at pick number 26. Now, Newsome was there. That's the pick. So here we go to day 2, Paul, and this is the question I am so curious about. You guys ultimately ended up trading from 59 to 52. How were those discussions? This is somebody clearly you wanted. I saw how happy you guys were. You didn't even have a scenario in which you ended up with Newsome and Owusu-Koramoah in your many, many simulations that you went through to prepare for this. No way, no how. We heard that quote as well, and yet it did happen. So when you guys are in that room and you're saying, this is okay, maybe this is possible, what were those discussions like? Are you talking about, do we go into the 30s to get him? Do we go into the 40s to get him? And ultimately you do get your man at 52.
So, as you mentioned, we go through an incredible number of scenarios over the last couple of months to try to prepare for almost anything that could happen. Clearly, we didn't prepare for anything, or everything that could possibly happen. But we were prepared for the idea that a guy we really liked in the first round could slip into the second. And what would we do under that scenario? So we had prepared extensively for that scenario. We just didn't know who the player was going to be, or if there even was going to be one that would be like that this year. But when Jeremiah was still there, and it was pick 35, pick 40, 42. It was the first time AB and I really started talking about it. And again, we had prepared months ago. A lot of other people had done some great work, Andrew Healy, Ken Kovash in particular, to the point where we knew that right around 50 was our sweet spot, where we thought the price made sense for the type of player we were going to go get. And we were trying to look at our draft as a whole, and we didn't want to give up any picks, but we felt like that pricing was right for that level of player. And at that point, it was calling around trying to get somebody to say yes, and that finally happened at 52.
So there were some calls and people say, not interested in what you're selling right now. But then at 52, you get that. And as you said, all you do is move out one of your 2 third-round picks and put that into the 4th round. And you made some moves there to even get an asset in 2022 ultimately. But so that was kind of what you guys were looking to do. Not have a huge deviation from where you were and the number of players you could acquire in this draft, but still get your guy. Boy, I'll tell you what, that takes a lot of nerve. That takes a lot of patience and fortitude, I think, to watch that without sweating it and feel like, maybe he's going to get away from us. That's the poise that we talk about. That's one of the big P's that you guys have.
Well, that's Andrew Barry's poise, and his patience as we go through it. I mean, the good news was for us, there were some other players on the board that we also really liked. I'm sure that was the case for a lot of the other teams. So if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. We were going to be happy with what we got at 59, but we were obviously thrilled to be able to move up to 52 and get Jeremiah.
So we know what he can do from an athletic standpoint. I'm curious to hear you talk about, what you see his skill set. And I think we're going to get a theme here, speed. There was a lot of speed added in this draft by the Cleveland Browns. But when we talked to him last night after he was drafted, he immediately hit us. He's like, the 3 pillars, smart, tough, and accountable. I said, you're a quick study as well. Clearly, Jeremiah, you've got the mantras down right there. But what does he bring in addition to what he obviously has upstairs? What does he bring physically and how you see him can help this Cleveland Browns team?
Sure. Right. I told you, Greg Newsome was somewhat team agnostic in terms of he can play anything. I would tell Jeremiah is a perfect scheme fit for us, in what we want to do defensively, especially with the linebacker spot. As you mentioned, he can really, really run. He can really cover. He can play downhill against the run. He's an aggressive tackler. He makes his presence felt when he gets around the ball. So he really embodies everything we want a linebacker to be.
And you talked about everybody's running to the whiteboard. They're so excited, drawing things up for him. I mean, Joe Woods right now, I don't know if Joe Woods is handing out Rolexes or handing out isotoner gloves like Dan Marino used to do back in the day for you guys, but he's got to be pleased with the way this offseason has gone on that defensive side of the ball. Before we even drafted today, Paul, you could put together with guys, and some of them were here, for example, Delpit, Williams, Billings, who had opted out, that didn't play a snap. You could put together a legitimate nickel defense on the field of guys who did not play a snap for the Browns a year ago. That's got to make Joe very happy.
I think so. He came into my office last night right after we got Jeremiah, and he asked me whether or not he needed to take a pay cut. No, I think he's thrilled. I think our whole defensive staff is thrilled.
And now you turn your attention to the offense. For the first time this offseason, round number 3, Anthony Schwartz, the wide receiver from Auburn. And this one, speed. I think you can say it a few times. Speed, 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 speed. A track star. The guy's won gold medals. He's been the Gatorade Track Athlete of the Year. Obviously, that was a dimension you said you wanted to add to that room. You get it in Schwartz.
Yeah, like you said, world-class speed. But he's also, a player that we think's got a lot of room to continue to grow. They used him differently at Auburn probably than we're going to use him. And, Kevin, I think, will do a great job using him in lots of different ways. We were obviously very pleased with our offense overall last year. So it's not like we felt like we needed to add something, to that room to make it better or anything like that. But this is a different dimension, and it's one we didn't have last year. So it'll be a nice tool to put in the toolbox for Kevin and Alex Van Pelt.
And when you have a roster as complete as ours, let's even look at the wide receiver room as complete as ours. And as you mentioned, last year, tons of success. Odell comes back. You've got Jarvis, Hollywood Higgins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, who showed a lot, Kadarrell Hodge, etc., all back. And you have a great wide receiver coach in Chad O'Shea. Does that make you say, okay, we found an elite trait here that nobody else in this draft possessed. We have time to bring him in, learn our system, get great coaching. He's only 20 years old. And then maybe we have the opportunity to groom him into something bigger. But in the meantime, you put him on the field for a few snaps, everybody's going to know where he is every time he comes on the field because that kind of speed can kill you in one play.
There's no doubt. I mean, it's lightning fast. I mean, he immediately becomes the fastest guy on our roster without much of a question. We have a lot of guys who could really run, but he's going to be right at the top of the list. So, no, like I said before, I think it just gives us a different dimension. We looked at a bunch of the fast receivers in this draft that there are 4 or 5 of them that we looked at very seriously, but at the end of the day, we felt like Schwartz was the best fit for us.
It'll be exciting to see what we can do, get those jet motions going and all that fun stuff that I'm sure Kevin Stefanski is going to cook up with Anthony Schwartz. As we turn our attention now to day 3, and Depot, I got to let you know, our own Jason Gibbs right here in one of the mocks had James Hudson, the tackle from Cincinnati to the Browns, so maybe producer/scout. I don't know what's in his future, but he was attracted to his movement skills, and I have a feeling in a zone scheme, that's what you guys were attracted to as well.
Yeah, that's impressive. We're going to have to have him in the room next year. Great feet. Really good athlete, great feet. He's also got some punch to him. He also just hasn't played the position for very long, quite frankly. He went to college, went to Michigan as a defensive lineman, made the switch to the offense, and then ultimately transferred to Cincinnati to get more snaps. But we were really impressed with what we've seen so far. But another guy that we think has a lot of upside, I know Bill Callahan's really excited to work with him, and we think that could be a great pairing, in terms of what he could potentially be.
Absolutely, and he's a guy who, listen, when he made the transition, said, I need to watch Joe Thomas tape, so had the Cleveland Browns, kind of those bloodlines already. He was watching it, and now we'll have the opportunity, I'm sure, to talk to Joe. Staying on day 4, Tommy Togiai, the defensive tackle out of Ohio State, strong in the middle. When you have all those fast athletes that you guys have brought in on the back end of this defense, you need somebody up front to clog things up so they can run free and make plays. Is that what Togiai gives you?
Absolutely. Yeah, we really like the way Togiai plays. We think he plays with fire. He's very strong. He also plays an attacking style, in the defensive front, which is exactly what we want. We want guys to be penetrating and aggressive, play uphill or play downhill, really, from their perspective, and disrupt in the backfield. And we feel like he's a perfect fit for that.
Tony Fields was a tackling machine at both Arizona and West Virginia. Another one of those I would call maybe smallish linebacker, 6'1", 220, but it seems like that's a type you guys like, athletes who can go sideline to sideline.
Yeah, he can really, really run and has a real nose for the ball. I mean, he's tackled everywhere he's been, plays very aggressive. He plays probably above his size, I would say. But again, I think we want those guys who can just close down space all over the field, and he can do that.
What attracted you guys to Richard LeCount, the safety out of Georgia? Obviously, big-time program in the SEC, and was productive in his college career.
Yeah, very productive, very smart, very instinctual, very good ball skills, could make plays on the ball. He probably got knocked a little because he's slightly undersized, but he makes his presence felt. He'll hit you, if you come over the middle. But we really like the entire package of him. We think he's just a really, really good, sound football player.
And then the last pick, your 8th in this draft, Demetric Felton, running back, wide receiver, returner, electric with the ball in his hands from UCLA.
Yeah, slippery, very slippery, and can do lots of different things. We can use him out of the backfield. We can use him, split out, and like you said, he could potentially be a returner in special teams. So lots of different things that he could potentially do if we get the ball in his hands.
Well, Paul, we certainly appreciate the time, the insights that you've shared with us as well, and you have earned certainly a much well-deserved rest after this draft for the Browns. And I know you guys have undrafted free agents that you're going to be working on, so it never really stops. But congratulations on going out, executing your plan, and getting guys that you didn't even think it was possible to come out of this draft with.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's been fun.
It certainly has been fun, and the fun is not over on Browns Live. We'll go through those prospects, talk about what it looks like, where they could fit in on this team, what this roster looks like as we wrap up and put a ribbon on the 2021 NFL Draft here on the Browns Live Draft Special, presented by Graham & Fisk's Wine in a Can.
I'm Graham.
And I'm Fisk.
And we're the founders of Man Can Wine.
And Graham & Fisk, Wine in a Can.
100% California award-winning wine in a proven package. And announcing our Rookie of the Year, 8.4 ounces of award-winning California wine.
We've got red, we've got white, we've got rosé with bubbles, and we've got white with bubbles.
All with Wine Enthusiast Magazine Best Buy Awards.
Shipped right to your door.
Visit footballwine.com.
Order now.
Wendy's new jalapeno popper chicken sandwich and salad prove Wendy's goes all in on flavor. Unlike...
we put a bun inside the sandwich. Bun, bun, bun.
Hurry into Wendy's and try the new jalapeno popper chicken duo today.
Dad, what are you doing?
I'm putting extra spring in our spring cleaning sale.
Is that what you call it?
During our spring cleaning sale,
lease a new Trax for $99 a month or a new Equinox for $149 a month.
And get our free 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty.
If you're worried about bad credit, no problem. We can help.
So if you're thinking Chevy,
think Serpentini in Westlake, Medina, Willoughby Hills, Talmadge, Orville, and Strongsville.
American
and proud of it.
Pretty good springs for an old guy.
Great philosopher Socrates once said, "To find yourself, think for yourself." Great philosopher Arby's once said, "Y'all ever put spicy sauce on a 2 for €6?" Arby's, we have the meats.
Discount Drug Mart is your trusted hometown healthcare provider and your immunization destination. And now Drug Mart is your convenient, quick, and safe destination for the COVID-19 vaccine. Simply register for your free vaccine at covid.discount-drugmart.com. No endlessly searching for an appointment. We will contact you in the way that works best for you. Then you will choose the date and time to schedule your vaccination. Simple as that. Discount Drug Mart is proud to serve our communities.
No matter how early you're up or how late you're running, when you start your day at Speedway, we've got what you need to have a good morning. We've got it hot, we've got it cold, we've got it sprinkled, we've got it ready. We're here to make your morning a little better, because when you get off to a better start, you go on to a better day. The official convenience store of the Cleveland Browns.
Wendy's new jalapeno popper chicken sandwich and salad prove Wendy's goes all in on flavor. Unlike...
We put a bun inside the sandwich. Bun, bun, bun.
Hurry into Wendy's and try the new jalapeno popper chicken duo today.
All right, welcome back into the Browns Live Draft Special presented by Graham and Fists Wine and a Can. Nathan Zagura here in Berea. A very busy Berea. The Browns end up selecting 8 players in the 2021 NFL Draft and adding a 4th-round pick in the 2022 Draft when they had some moves and it was all said and done. We'll go through those again. Little analysis here and take a look at the rooms that they're joining. First off, Greg Newsome II, the cornerback out of Northwestern. He led the FBS with a 15.7 passer rating against last year. That's the best in the country, folks. He allowed only 10 completions all season. He had 10 passes defense. He allowed only 1 completion of more than 10 yards in the air. And now you look at the Browns corners. He will join Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, Troy Hill, who was added in free agency as well, and MJ Stewart. Those are your top 5 corners going into camp. Stewart, of course, the former 2nd rounder who joined the Browns last year and had a huge interception in the playoff win over the Steelers. Robert Jackson, undrafted free agent AJ Green from last year, also in the mix at that cornerback position. But a room that is now much more of a strength than it was a year ago. In round 2, we never saw this coming. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah joining the Browns when they traded up from 59 to 52. As Paul DePodesta said, that was around the point that they targeted. They could not believe their good fortune. Getting the linebacker, safety, nickelback, playmaker out of Notre Dame. Owusu-Koramoah, he was so fired up when I talked to him last night. This is the Butt Kiss Award winner, the number 1 linebacker in the country, a unanimous All-American last year. He was one of the most productive players in all of college football, a weapon, a missile. And you heard Paul DePodesta say, a perfect fit for what we do here. He is going to run around and make a lot of plays for the Cleveland Browns. Then they rounded out day 3 with Anthony Schwartz, the wide receiver out of Auburn. We told you, world-class track speed. Look at that. That's LSU, folks. We know that's a good school. Running away from people. He can run away from them. He can run around them. He actually had more rushing touchdowns than receiving touchdowns at Auburn. As you see him take an end around here. He's going to be used by the Browns on jet sweeps. He's going to be used in the verticals, the deep overs. And he joins a wide receiver room now with Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry, Hollywood Higgins and Donovan Peoples-Jones, Kaderil Hodge. But nobody in that room has what Schwartz has, and that's pure speed. Think about McCole Hardman. Think about how he was used in Kansas City. That's what Schwartz can be here. Think about Travis Benjamin. Remember him, the rabbit from the Browns. That's the kind of player, that's the kind of speed, and frankly, Schwartz even has more speed than that can be very productive in this offense. Go back to 2014, undrafted free agent Taylor Gabriel. The numbers he put up in a similar offense here in Cleveland with that raw speed. Schwartz, an exciting prospect for the Browns. And then James Hudson in the 4th round. Hudson, the tackle from Cincinnati. We told you, a former defensive lineman at Michigan, transfers to Cincinnati to get some reps at tackle, ends up first team all AAC last year. Great movement skills, great feet. He has a great get off. That comes from being a defensive player. Talking to Joe Thomas, what's the most important thing for a lineman in this scheme? It's that get off. It's the kickbacks. It's getting your defensive lineman running horizontally down the line of scrimmage and not penetrating. And Hudson has that. He's got some tenacity, and he gets to learn from Bill Callahan. The good news also for Hudson is you're joining an offensive line room. All 5 starters are back. Chris Hubbard is back. Hudson is a little bit of a project, but will have time to develop and get seasoning from the best offensive line coach in the game in Bill Callahan and his assistant, Scott Peters. As the Browns draft continued, Tommy Togiai. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people in Ohio excited about this one. When you talk about strong, you talk about Tommy Togiai. 40 reps of 225 pounds. That's not over a course of a couple days. That's not over the course of a couple of sets. That's one set. 40 reps at 225. An incredible bull rusher right up the middle. Second team all Big Ten. And he's going to provide some stoutness to that defensive tackle room that now features at starters Andrew Billings and Malik Jackson. The veterans, Billings, the big 330-pounder. Jackson, more of an interior pass rusher. You've got Jordan Elliott, last year's 3rd rounder. And now Togiai from Ohio State mixing in there with that strength, that power. And I think if we want to play the run, you could see Togiai as a rookie right next to Billings, getting in there, eating up blockers and letting our playmakers run around behind them. Sheldon Day also in that defensive tackle room. And then you go into round 5, Tony Fields out of West Virginia. And he is a tackling machine, has been everywhere in his career. Started in Arizona, 104 tackles in his freshman season. Then 89, 94, 88 last year to lead West Virginia. And you see him here. Ball skills, ability to run sideline to sideline, speed. That was a theme, as Paul DePodesta told you. Now, he's joining a crowded linebacker room, folks. There's no doubt about it, and Fields is going to have to show that he can play on special teams to get on the field early in his career. You now have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. You've got Jacob Phillips from last year, the 3rd-round pick out of LSU. You've got Anthony Walker Jr. has been a full-time starter for one of the best defenses in the league in Indianapolis, coming in here on a 1-year deal. Sione Takitaki, top 12 in the league last year against the run. Malcolm Smith, top 12 in the league, the veteran, against the pass last year. We're already at 5. There's also Mac Wilson. There is also Elijah Lee, who was a special teams ace for the Browns and now Fields. So there are 8 linebackers. There's going to be some real competition at that spot to make this roster. And then you go to the safety, Richard LeCount III, out of Georgia, a former 5-star recruit, considered going to the Ohio State Buckeyes, as a matter of fact. An excellent player. In 2019, he was the co-winner of the Defensive Most Improved Player Award at Georgia. This is a guy in the SEC who was productive. He was SEC Defensive Player of the Week at various points last year. Productive ball skills. Now, he was slowed by an accident that cost him some of his performance at his pro day, but I think that has only helped the Browns. Now, LeCount will be competing in a safety room that's loaded. John Johnson III is here, as you well know. Grant Delpit is back. Ronnie Harrison is here. Sheldrick Redwine, a 4th-round pick from a few years ago who's played well for the Browns in limited action. So there's going to be competition, not to mention Javante Moffitt and Elijah Benton, 2 undrafted rookies who impressed this staff last season. So some competition. And then we go back to the offense. Only 2 moves really made, or 3 moves on offense all offseason. Hudson, Schwartz, and Demetric Felton. And Felton, when you watch him, you heard Paul DePodesta describe him as slippery. This is a guy who can run. Last year, 6th in the nation, 165.8 all-purpose yards. He was 4th in the Pac-12 at 111 yards rushing per game. He can run it. He can return it. He can catch it. He is dangerous. The Browns saying he will start off, if you see him come out of the backfield there and get into the end zone. He's going to start in that running back room, but this is a versatile weapon and playmaker for the Browns who can run it, catch it, and as I said, return it. And I think the Browns are excited to get him where they did in the 6th round. So that's the class. Those are your 8 new rookies here on the Cleveland Browns that will be competing, fighting, scratching, clawing to find a way onto the field, whether it be in their position room or whether it be in special teams for Mike Prefer. And they're not done. Undrafted free agents. That will take place over the next few days. So keep it tuned to clevelandbrowns.com and the Browns mobile app for the very latest on that. That's it, folks. The draft is over for the Browns, and that will do it for our Browns Live draft specials. But we're not done with Browns Live. We always want to give you guys the best content. So coming up on Wednesday, the May 12th, you've got a date Wednesday, baby, 7:30 to 8 o'clock with special guest Joe Thomas. He will join me. We'll be co-hosting. It's the Brown Live schedule release party. And the reason it's a party, the reason why it is special, you will get the schedule 30 minutes before the NFL releases it. And the only place you're going to get that is on the Browns Live schedule release special. So join us. Put it on your calendars. May 12th, we'll see you at 7:30. In the meantime, keep it tuned to clevelandbrowns.com and the Browns mobile app, as well as our great YouTube channel for all the content on your Cleveland Browns. A loaded roster got better. No way, no how could they have come out of this draft with Greg Newsome and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and yet they did. More talent added along the way. It is going to be an exciting season. Rookie minicamp coming up right after, certainly that weekend after the Browns Live schedule release special. Thank you to everybody over there to my left. An incredible, incredible production team from Paul Taylor to Drew Davidson to Anthony Bacco and, of course, Jason Gibbs. I am Nathan Zagura, thanking you, the best fans in the NFL, for being with us all week for the Browns Live Draft Specials presented by Graham and Fisk's Wine in a Can. Have a good night, everybody.